Hello, welcome to my live. Today is Friday, the 23rd of January, and it's just past 6 o'clock p.m. UK time. I'm not feeling so great, I'm going to be honest with you. And so I'm here because I've got to be here when I say that I will be here, but I will not. I will not stay any longer than than I have to if there's no one around. I've been quite overwhelmed with bits and bobs lately, and that has impacted my sleeping. But I do my best, and if you have anything you'd like to ask me, please do so, and that will hopefully keep me focused. Essentially, I'm a therapist and coach, and I come here twice a week to give suggestions, recommendations for a couple of hours each time. And so I'm human, and I go through my own ups and downs, and okay, I'm going to do what I always do when I start my live streams, which is to read and comment on my own post. Here's one. You find it difficult to set boundaries with the people closest to you because you still believe that you are responsible for their happiness, that if you set boundaries against them, that will upset them. This is why it's so hard for so many of us to set boundaries with our family members, people who are the closest to us. And that's precisely because they have never allowed us to have those boundaries. And so we are kind of terrified. I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Let me try to find another one. I've got one comment. Thank you. Crabberry Black. Hello. Hope you are well, Didi. Hope everyone is doing okay. I'm a little bit under the pressure of life. So I haven't slept that much, and my brain is a little bit frozen here and there. But again, just 1 second, please. But yeah, I need you guys to ask me questions in order for me to keep going, because I find it difficult to focus today. Jake Jarrett, B9, Ramona. Jake Barrett, I love your vids. Thank you so much. Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to ask me about anything at all, please? Thank you for your emojis. How old are you? I'm 55. I was born in 1970, and that's it. Jake, bro, I love them. All right, thank you. Cool. Ramona. Here's one for you. Pain only hurts once. Being obsessed with trying to avoid pain, however, will hurt you forever. And this is the idea that all the things that are creating problems for us in regards to mental and emotional health are actually born from a need to avoid pain. In Buddhist wisdom, there's a very common say which goes like this: pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And the bit that I would add to that is that suffering is actually created the moment we try to avoid pain. Because pain is inevitable, we have to face it. And to give you an example, things like anxiety, depression, or anger issues, for instance, are systems that we have in place that are there to protect us against pain. If we're anxious, it's because there's a part of our mind that is constantly reminding us that we've been hurt, so we've got to be careful. If we're depressed, it's because we're overwhelmed, and so our whole system shut down to prevent us from feeling certain feelings or from ending up in certain situations. And if you suffer from anger issues, the anger is there to, again, try to protect us physically, because it's the only system that we know in regards to pressure and overwhelm. So the pain is not the problem. It's the obsession we have to try to avoid it that is. And yep, psychology can back up that Buddhist wisdom. Crowberry Black. I'm sorry, Didi, I am incapable of asking questions and paying attention. Okay, fair enough. Do you have any advice on how to focus and fix this? Okay, that's an interesting one. Through your inability to ask questions, you have asked a question. So that's actually quite good. Let's see. I'm incapable of asking questions and paying attention. You can ask questions, it's just that maybe sometimes you are stressed out, you may be under pressure, that is creating a lot of interference with your brain and preventing you from wording out, from speaking out what you want to share with people. And paying attention. Do you have ADHD? Do you believe that you may be on the spectrum of ADHD? The lack of attention is often ADD, but it's also possibly to do with any unhealed trauma. So I talk about trauma quite often on those live streams, because I believe that everything is connected in some capacity to some form of trauma in childhood. And by this I mean, if we either have been overwhelmed by some very obvious situations, or if we suffer from neglect over a long period of time, our brain, through our developmental years, will be different than a brain that doesn't go through this trauma. In the sense that it's going to develop the systems that I talked about, or others, that are there to protect us because of the things that happened to us then. And one of those systems is going to get us to constantly scan our environment to make sure that we are safe. And so what it means, the way it translates into your life, maybe that when you want to say something, when you want to express yourself, you don't know how to, because there's too much pressure. Your brain is constantly seeking for some sort of emotional safety. And so finding the words to express yourself is not the priority. So that'll be one way to explain why you find it difficult to pay attention or ask questions. So the first thing to do is to find out whether or not you have any conditions, or if you are born neurodivergent, if your brain is different, essentially. Now the other thing that you can do, and that's for all of us, whether you are neurodivergent or not, is to keep stress at bay. Practice mindfulness and meditation, do anything in regards to your lifestyle, in regards to your environment, in regards to any aspect of your life, to minimize stress from the outside, and to let go of the stress from the inside as well. Every morning, as soon as you wake up, there's some amount of stress in your body, in your system, and you must find a way to release it. And the other thing is to minimize your exposure to outside external stress as well. Stress is an inflammator. It aggravates everything. So if you have any conditions, whatever that it is, stress will amplify it. And so the way we address everything and anything at all is always threefold. One, we must address the subconscious triggers. So this is what self-reflection and therapy work do. Any type of therapy, as in working on ourselves. The second aspect of it is lifestyle. So there'll be all the things that we do to be healthy at a general level. Do you sleep well? Do you eat well? Do you move? Do you spend time outside? Do you socialize with people? And number 3, environment. So that'll be the people at home, at work, and in your community. Are you surrounded by people that are supportive, or do you feel under pressure from your people? So yeah, that's how I would address this. If you want to tell me more about yourself, that'd be helpful. Ramona, are you alone? I'm not alone, I'm with you guys. What do you mean by that? MXSAA, bro, you're so handsome, I love you. Oh, thank you so much, that's very kind of you. Person with a question, hi Didi, how are you? I'm a little bit under the weather, the lack of sleep, and mental pressure, but I'm okay, I'm here, and that's what matters. And again, if you can keep my mind focused on something, then that will allow me to have a point of anchor. Carbilicious. Boundaries are hard when you expect people to be upset. I've only just started to define them, and some people have fallen away. How do I lose the fear of losing people? By reminding yourself of your priority. Also, remind yourself that if you need to set boundaries with some people, you never had them. As in, I mean, we don't own anyone anyway, but it's not as if you had something from them. They probably controlled you, manipulated you. They probably don't care about your feelings. That's why you need to set boundaries against them. But we want to be with them because we believe that they are the only people that we deserve. They're the only people that we can have. We're lucky enough to have some people like them. And so that's why we allow some people like that in our lives. When we have problems with people, it's never because of the people. It's because we allow them into our lives. And when it comes to, let's say, dysfunctional families or any kind of narcissistic relationships, gosh, I lost the track of thought. Sorry, my brain is a bit heavy today. Let me try to go back to where I was. This, again, my conditions. How do I lose the fear of losing people? Yes, I want you to realize that you have been asking for those people to give you something that they have never been able to give you. If you can be honest and look at your past with hindsight, you want to realize that you have always suffered from lack from those relationships. And yet you're still with them, begging them for some attention, for some love. And so first realize that you suffer from a distorted experience of your relationship. What you see, what you experience when you are in your relationship would be very different from what you would experience if you can observe it from the outside of it. Look at yourself as if you were your own friend, analyzing your own life. If you were your friend trying to give you advice about your relationships. And that person would probably say, what are you doing? Why are you always trying to get some breadcrumbs from those people who don't care about you, who never cared about you, who are even hurting you, probably. Does it make sense? Do you want to give me some more details about you, please? Carbilicious? How do I lose the fear of losing people? The fear is precisely what is creating the situation for you. Fear and shame are the two things that create all of our mental and emotional problems. And so how do you lose the fear? Again, there are 3 things that we can do. We want to, I talked about it just before, address the subconscious triggers, subconscious blocks, subconscious filters. And number 2, address your lifestyle as opposed to, as in looking after the physical health of your body, physical self. And number 3, address your environment. Um, when it comes to the fear or shame, that'll be the domain of number one. Do some self-reflection work and find out what is it that is creating fear in you. What is getting you to behave the way you do? What is getting you to allow the things that you allow that other people wouldn't allow in their own life? I hope it is clear enough. Do ask me again if you're not sure about it, and do tell me more about yourself if you would like, please. Strawberry Black. I have also just realized that I have been holding space for people that do not want it and do not deserve it for a very long time. How do I move on from this? By reminding yourself what you just said. That's it. Every moment we have different parts within us, and every moment there's a different part of us that is taking over that moment. And so one moment you may be the child that feels alone, lonely, powerless, that feels that they have no other choice but to stick to with those people. Because when we're a child, we don't choose our caregivers, we depend on them. So we have to do anything that we can to stay with them. We don't have any means to protect ourselves. So we can't even hate our caregivers, because if we did that, we would be cutting tie with the one thing that could protect us from life. But then the next moment, there's a different part of you that could take over, and that'd be the part of you that is saying this, the part of you that is aware that you have been holding space for people that do not want it and do not deserve it for a very long time. In that moment, it's no longer the child that is watching that situation. It is the adult version of yourself. It is the rational version of you. It is the version of you that knows that it's ridiculous. Why am I doing this? And so there's a tug of war between different parts of you that are trying to take over the control of that moment. Yeah. So how do you move on from this? You get the part of you that knows that you don't want this anymore to come out. And then you get that part to talk to the other part of you that fears that you have to stay with them. So can you imagine inside of you there's a child that is hurt, that is wounded, that feels alone and doesn't know what to do. And what you want to do is to basically become the parent to yourself. You want to be the big brother or the big sister that you never had that would love you. You want to be your best friend. You want to be someone that cares for yourself, but has the ability to see the things that you talk about from the perspective of the adult. And tell yourself, you know what, it's normal to feel overwhelmed. It's normal to feel confused. It's normal to feel sad and powerless. But it's okay, I'm here now. I'm the grown-up, I'm the adult. And I'm telling you, I'm reminding you that you must remind yourself to put yourself first and set boundaries and learn how to say no and keep away from those people, create a space between you and them. So that's one of the ways to get started into that perspective. Everything about life is down to perspective. And so if you can find a perspective that makes you feel more empowered, that makes you be able to see the problems that you must address, as opposed to being hijacked by that child inside of you that feels that they don't deserve anything else, that's where everything starts. Does it make sense? Strawberry Black. Strawberry Black. I believe I am an autistic with CPTSD from long-term severe narcissistic abuse or corrosive control. Okay, so yeah. So seek some help. People on the autism spectrum who go through trauma have a lot of baggage, because the nature of their brain, of your brain, like my husband is like that, are quite, you need things to be very predictable. And so if you've been hurt in the past, now your whole system will be even more wired to protect against everything all the time. So yeah, we can talk about this if you want. Strawberry Black. But to come back to your first comment and the second one, so your inability to ask questions, and the fact that you've been holding space for people that don't deserve for you to hold space for them. Learn how to put yourself first. Learn how to remind yourself that your happiness matters. Your boundaries matter. And then gradually take some baby actions to do something about it within your range of comfort. And then learn how to expand that by taking more actions, by doing more things to set boundaries. Chris Hilton, good evening, Didi. Good evening, Chris. Palazzo di Capo, hi, thanks for doing this. Of course, this is what I do. Thank you for appreciating. Cranberry Black, I believe I've developed lupus at a very young age and it's gone undiagnosed and it makes me very physically sick on top of all of the mental load. So yeah, so that adds a lot of problems. If we have, so this is a vicious circle. A lot of our emotional wounds, when they're unhealed, also develop in our body and express themselves in many different ways. And lupus is often one of them. Any chronic problems that we have physically are very much related to some aspect of our emotional life in childhood. But here's the twist. The more we are in physical discomfort, the more stress we are going through. So we're talking about stress at the beginning of the life. And what it means is that if we have constant physical stress, as in pain, discomfort, that is going to make everything much, much harder. It's going to be even harder for us to be mentally clear because we're going to be constantly put back into that state of survival just for the fact that we're not feeling good. So yeah, if I was you, I would address the lupus first and foremost. I would find a way to gather whatever you can gather in terms of alternative ways to help you deal with your physical pain. As long as you have some physical pain in your body, it's going to affect the way you think and the way you feel emotionally. It's going to be very, very challenging for you to see things clearly and to be able to be fully accessing the logical part of your brain. Cranberry Black, I do prioritize self-care, healing and growth. I've been no contact with families since 2019. I have epiphanies and mental, emotional, spiritual rebirth often. It has gone from being a death feeling ... So it's going to be more. So basically you are saying that you've been working on it and you're going in the right direction, right? Healing is a journey. And one of the reasons we struggle with healing is that we tend to make it harder on ourselves. If you keep on telling you, I want to change, it's wrong, why do I still have problems? Now you're shaming yourself, you are creating some balance inside of you towards yourself. And now your nervous system is going to react furthermore, and you are basically putting some sticks into your own wheels. So what I mean by that is that it's counterintuitive, but we want to really appreciate that healing is a journey, and you want to focus on the progress. And tell yourself, I'm going to be okay, and we go through ups and downs all throughout our life. But what I need to realize is that even though it feels like when I'm down, I'm hitting rock bottom again, if we zoom out, see yourself and your life going like that, up and down, but in the better direction. And you may realize that indeed you've come a long way. You have been through a lot of breakthrough. You talk about epiphanies and some sort of spiritual awakening moments, perhaps. You call it spiritual rebirth, right? And so focus on the progress, focus on those things, and realize that you have to undo habits of a lifetime that affect you from many different perspectives: mental, emotional, physical. And keep going forward and be patient. To me, it sounds like you are doing well from my perspective. Yeah. And I know that it's not easy, because if we suffer from pain, it's frustrating and it prevents us from being patient. But this is the insidious nature of what you're going through. If you can find a way to learn how to have a different relationship with pain, then you avoid the suffering that I was talking about at the beginning of this live stream. We can talk about this if you want. How do you experience lupus? Person with a question. Sad to hear that you're under the weather. Didi, please be gentle with yourself. Oh, it's got nothing to do with me. It's very kind of you, but it's not self-inflicted. We all go through life, and I'm just like everyone else. And so sometimes I have my ups and my downs just like everyone else. But it doesn't matter, because what matters is that I'm still here. I'm still showing up. I'm still doing my best. And I know that at some point I go back there. And already now I'm feeling better for the fact that I'm talking to you guys, that you are asking me stuff. That is getting me to focus. And so we all have go up and down. It's okay to be overwhelmed at times. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay to be sad, to be angry, to be scared, to be anxious. It's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine as long as we are not suffering from this chronically, as long as it's not a pattern. And for me, it's no longer a pattern. It used to be my life. But now it's just some moments are like that, and it's okay, because nothing lasts forever. The good things, the bad things, whatever we label good or bad, everything in the universe is constantly changing and moving forward and evolving. And so I'm comfortable with that now. I am comfortable with pain. I'm comfortable with anger. I'm comfortable with helplessness. I'm comfortable with confusion at times, even anyway, because I know that it's not going to last. I have addressed my triggers, and so it's not something that happens regularly anymore. There are occurrences, and it happens because of XYZ. We're connected to everything, and so whatever is happening in the universe is affecting some of us. I mean, it's affecting all of us in various capacity, right? But yeah, thank you for your concern, but I'm not doing this to myself at all. If anything, I believe that doing the things that I do is the best thing that I can do when I'm going through those sort of situations. Thank you, person with the question. Carbelicious, I would agree that what you said is true. The people who fall away now have always made me feel inferior, and it's probably best to make space for new people. I have to stop seeking the familiar. Okay, so you know about this. The phrase that you use, I need to stop seeking the familiar, means that you understand some basics, fundamentals, aspect of your mind. So for those who are into the things that I do, we understand, if we work with the subconscious mind, we understand that our mind is always attracted and only concerned about one thing, what feels familiar. Our body, our mind is constantly seeking familiarity. And so when it comes to a relationship, we tend to be with people that hurt us, and we know that we shouldn't be with them. It doesn't make sense. But our body, our subconscious mind doesn't care. It feels familiar, so we're going to be attracted and accept and allow that familiarity, even if it's not good for our happiness or health or well-being. Yeah. Person with a question. Diagnosed as CPTSD. I'm realizing I may also be neurodivergent. If you have CPTSD, you're neurodivergent. Neurodivergent is not just autism and ADHD. So some people may disagree with that, but more and more people are, when it comes to mental health, everything is changing all the time. what we know of mental health is very young and is very, uh, yeah, it's very young. And so basically, we can see this with how the terms of some mental illness change over time. It's like I've got bipolar, but in my generation, it was suicidal manic depression. There was different terms and different understanding of each conditions as well. And people used to disagree, and we still disagree now. And so when it comes to what was I talking about? CPTSD and neurodivergence. Yes, when it comes to neurodiversity, the definition of neurodiverse is anything that is not neurotypical, not just ADHD and autism. And so what it means is that CPTSD or even PTSD or anything that is going to affect us so much that is going to affect our behavior and our interpretation of the world and the way our system works, that is what makes it neurodiverse. Our brain doesn't work the same way as someone who is neurotypical, right? If you suffer from depression or anxiety over a long period of time, that will alter the way our brain functions, and we will become eventually neurodivergent. So again, I'm aware that some people would get very, very upset and say, this is not what it means. But this is how I see it. And many people also see it like that. Things are changing. I believe that this is going to be the new definition of neurodiversity or neurodivergence, more and more so. Already most people in my profession understand this. But there are always some that are unable to move on with new information. Because whether we are therapists or not, we're still a human being. And some of us suffer from something called the Semmelweis reflex. And basically, it's the inability to upgrade our understanding of something or belief despite evidence of it. Because we have some emotional attachment with the old definition. So we can't accept new things. And this is a huge problem in society. Many of us don't realize that things change all the time. A lot of things that we've been taught or science has been debunked. Things that we've been taught in childhood, now we realize that it's no longer the case. It was never the case, but we didn't know then. But for some of us, we can't accept that it was wrong because we have created a reality around those facts. The simple example that I can give you, and it's going to upset some of you, is that some people are unable to accept trans people, for instance. Now, through science, it's absolutely demonstrated in many different ways, and more so every day, that we are born more a man or woman, regardless of our chromosomes, regardless of our body parts. And so, but a lot of people are going to say, there's no such thing as a trans man or a trans woman. There's only Adam or Eve, like they say in the Bible. And basically, they forget that the Bible is not a biology book. And so, but because they have an emotional attachment with that belief, they can't let go of it. And it's impossible for them to even try to read those books, to go and watch those stuff that are solid science, but are there to really, really explain simply because they have an emotional bias that is protecting their mind from believing something else that is important for them to believe. I hope it makes sense. And so I was talking about this in regards to neurodivergence. Being neurodivergent is having a brain that doesn't operate like the brain of someone that is neurotypical, someone who never had any overwhelm that would have altered the functioning of their brain. Hope it makes sense. So I was reading your comment. Diagnosed CPTSD, I'm realizing I may also be neurodivergent, so we addressed that. In childhood, I just thought I was a weird kid. Now, the more I learn about ADHD, it makes sense. Not sure where to go from here. Get yourself diagnosed. Talk to your GP and tell them, you know what, I feel that I may be on the spectrum. Is there any way I can go on the list, on the waiting list? If you can afford it, go private, so you don't need to wait. It takes years now because more and more people are aware of mental health. And so the NHS is behind and we can't cope with that demand. Just a second, please. I'm waiting for the motorcycle sound to disappear. Go away. Okay, so and so where do you go from there? Do some tests online, and if there are signs that you may be on that spectrum, don't self-diagnose just yet. But if you feel that you may be, then push those research on by asking your GP to by either going on your own in a clinic, or if you can't afford it, ask your GP to put you on the list and assess whether or not you are on the spectrum. That's where we start from. It's important to know those things. Very often, there's also a lot of overlaps. A lot of things to do with autism and ADHD can be misinterpreted for CPTSD and the other around. A lot of conditions, there are lots of overlaps and there are a lot of misdiagnoses. And also, there's the fact that we can have more than one condition. Like me, for instance, they're called comorbidities. And so very often we are confused, do I have this or that? And then the answer sometimes is I've got this and that and so other things as well. Because we create all of those labels to understand what is going on. But there's not yet any tangible map of the brain that tells us precisely what we have. And so people have created some labels, and for each label, what you need to do is to tick a certain amount of boxes to be deemed okay to have that label. But again, it can be very confusing, and some people can have their diagnosis change many times all throughout their life. And it's not always that it's wrong. Sometimes also they change and they may heal some aspect of themselves, and some other aspect of themselves may aggravate. So it's quite, can be quite complicated. But for you, the first thing to do is to try your best to find out whether or not you are indeed on any of those spectrum. Cabilicious. I am also an adult child of an alcoholic father with a neighboring mum. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. So you're an adult now. So in regards to that, just make sure that you are working on yourself. And the one most important thing for you to do in order to work on yourself is to feel safe, which means that you need to keep yourself away from them until you feel better. Because whenever you see them, if you ever do, it's going to trigger all of those responses that you had back then. And in those moments, you're going to be the child again. And also because you need freedom from that. It's been ongoing for long enough. Strawberry black. Yes, it does. Okay. I would like to know your thoughts and opinions on shadow work, if you don't mind me asking. Yes, shadow work is very good. So there's a lot of different ways to address this. But the idea behind it is to realize that there's a lot of parts. So I was talking about how we have many minds. We have many parts. And shadow parts is when we are ignoring or repressing some of those parts. So basically, there's some part of us that we are proud of. I like the fact that some part of me are able to do things, are successful, are admired and appreciated by people. But there are other parts of me, if I've been told that I should be ashamed of them because society doesn't like it, for instance, then I will believe that there's some part of me that are to be avoided. I'll be either scared of those parts or I will be ashamed of them. And so because of that, they're going to be in my shadow, as opposed to being under a light that shows them to the world and to myself. And so shadow work is about realizing that we have many parts and that all of those parts are part of us and they all deserve our attention and our love. But as long as we're going to avoid some part of us, we're going to create problems for ourselves. And that goes back to the very start of that live stream when I was talking about how the cause of all of our suffering is our obsession to try to avoid pain. And so in that context, pain is trying to avoid the part of us that we're ashamed of. Because that's all we've been taught, right? It's never anyone's fault, but our parents treat us the way they've been treated by their own parents, and so on and so forth. And so it's a generational cycle. And so shadow work is to realize that any parts that you have, maybe you have some part of you that lose control and get angry. Maybe there's some part of you that are having some dark thoughts. Maybe there's some part of you that are overwhelmed. Maybe there's some part of you that are so desperate that there's a part of you that lies, that is dishonest. Whatever that it is, all of those parts exist to protect you originally. Society looked down on those parts, and we've been taught that it was terrible to behave like that and to display those parts. And because of that, we suffer from that whole situation. And so we want to learn to, so the way we address our parts, the first aspect of it is to learn how to reconnect with our body, as in reconnecting with our emotions and our feelings, and be okay with sadness, be okay with frustration and anger, being okay with anxiety, being okay with all those things, and realize that the reason why I'm having problems is because I'm avoiding those aspects. And so as long as I'm avoiding those aspects, they are part of me, and they are an energy that is in my body. And if I don't process that energy, it's going to keep coming back. And if I keep ignoring it for too long, it's going to find different ways to express themselves in my life. And so for an example that I can give you is what we call secondary emotions. If I'm a guy, for instance, and I grew up in a patriarchal system and I suffer from toxic masculinity, I'll be taught that boys don't cry. So I can never be vulnerable. I can never cry. I can never be sad. And so whenever I'm going to feel sad, because I can't cry, I'm going to use a different part of me to cover for that part. And typically, in a patriarchal society, that'll be anger. If I can't be sad, if I can't be depressed, then I'm going to get angry to find a way to let that energy out. And that's why a lot of men who are depressed in secret. They don't know that they're depressed. People think that they're just angry, that they have a bad temper. But that could cover a depression. But they're not able to realize this or to express it because they've been traumatized and they cannot show vulnerability. And the opposite of that example, just to finish with that example, is that women typically also in a patriarchal society are not allowed to be angry. They must be quiet and pretty and obey and be nice. And so a lot of women may feel frustrated and want to let it out, but they can't. And so their secondary emotion that we take over that and protect them from the shame of being angry or disruptive would be sadness, and they will cry instead. So it's a little bit of an oversimplification. It's not just this or that, but it's a simple way to illustrate how we may experience problems because we are ignoring some of our emotions, and then we're going to create situations because of that. And so, yeah, I hope it makes sense. But the first thing we want to do, to go back to your original question in regards to shadow work, is to learn how to feel and process our feelings and have a good relationship with all of our emotions and realize that they're only temporary. They're there to tell us something about ourselves, but they're never meant to last. And so if we can feel them, then eventually it's gone. And then we're back to a state of peace and mental clarity. But as long as we're avoiding emotions and feelings, then it will come back, and it may often come back in another shape. Yeah. Yep. Hello, Didi. Nice to see you. Thank you. Sam here. Ariel. Hi. Hello, Ariel. Strawberry Black. That makes sense about the lupus affecting my mental health. Thank you. It sounds like a vicious cycle. Yes, but even though it's a vicious cycle, there's an entry point to any problem. Whatever the scale of our problems, and this is often the case for many of us, we don't know where to even get started because we have so many problems within any aspect of our life. There's always, always, always one entry point, and it's for us to find out what it is. The work is to find a way to get started with that whole mess that our life is. So we never want to be desperate and feel powerless because we're looking at the mountain of problem. You want to find a way to get into that from the best angle. The analogy that I often use is those movies about people who are trying to escape a prison. So we have the Prisoner of Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood, but also the Shawshank Redemption. And I think in both movies, they have a spoon. And they use a spoon to dig a tunnel out of their cell. And it takes forever. But eventually, in both movies, in both books, they escape. And so it's about finding an entry point to your mountain of problems and then just get started and focus on little baby steps. And eventually, before you know it, bang, you'll be there. As long as you focus on the doing, as opposed to focusing on the destination. Strawberry Black. It's gone from being a hard feeling to an enlightened feeling. Okay. Person with a question. The stress bit is so true. I observe even after removing emotional stressors, my immunity is poor and I fall ill often, which puts my nervous system back into sympathetic mode, vicious cycle. Yeah. That's why, in your case, if I was you, I would prioritize addressing your physical problems first and foremost. Strawberry Black. I feel stuck in my financial areas and finding a support system through peers. I just feel stuck and I don't know how to move forward. I'm trying to figure out and I appreciate your advice / option. Okay, so if you find it difficult to find a support system through your peers, then try a different strategy. The solution to your question here is not me giving you what you need next, because I don't know what it is. But there's one thing that you can develop that will help you go through that much easier, and that's a growth mindset. So with the right mindset, we can come out of anything. Now, of course, a mindset depends on your heart set, so it's a tricky one. But there's a book that I often recommend on that live stream, and it's called Mindset from Carol Dweck. Read that book and see if you can take something from that book. And basically, it's a book that teaches us about mindset, as it says on the cover. And it's all about, regardless of your situation, you can always find a solution. But it's for you to find it. And so instead of thinking, what's wrong with that thing? Ask yourself, what can I do about this? How can I learn something that will make it easier on me? Your thoughts are a series of questions and answers. And so by learning how to ask yourself better questions, you will learn how to get better answers from your own mind. Your mind is like a machine, and it replies to your questions. It works based on what you ask it to give you. So whatever question that you entertain is going to create the next thought in your mind. So if you ask yourself, why is it so hard? The answer that will correspond with the energy of that question will be, it's so hard because this is how it is. Life sucks and there's nothing you can do about it because you are a loser, or something like that. But if you ask yourself instead, what can I do about this? How can I make this better? Now your mind is going to seek an answer that corresponds to that sort of energy. It's going to say, maybe you can try this, maybe you can try that, maybe you can try what you've done already, but in a different way. Maybe you can try it again because maybe since then things have changed. And this is what the growth mindset is about. It's about realizing that whatever you are going through in life, if you can find a way to look at the right place, you would find the solution to your problems, the answers to your questions. The way I describe it is that in the universe is everything in space and time. And so what it means is that for each question, there's an answer somewhere. For each problem, there's a solution somewhere. Everything exists in relation to something else. So nothing exists without its counterpart. Light doesn't exist without darkness, and vice versa. And everything else is the same. And so what it means is that if you have a problem, realize that the moment a problem is created, somewhere in the universe, its solution is also created. The moment a question arises, bang, at the same time, simultaneously, somewhere in the universe, there is an answer that counterbalances that question. So all that we have to do is to find a way to look in the right places. That's it. So we need to keep looking and ask yourself better questions. What can I do about this? How can I grow from that ordeal? What can I learn in order to fix that problem? What is the one positive thing that I can take away from that situation? Learn how to always look in the right places, and eventually you will find all the things that you're looking for in those places. And that includes facing all sorts of problems, including financial problems, not finding support from your peers. It's a big world out there. If you haven't found support from some people, it doesn't mean that you will never. It only means that you haven't yet. So one of the aspects of the growth mindset is to add the magic word yet at the end of each sentence. I haven't found a solution yet. And the moment you can say yet, it feels better straight away. Because now you're bringing back hope. You're bringing back focus in the right places. Does it help? Strawberry black. Person with a question observed. Strawberry black. So the symptoms I experience, if that's what you asked, is severe chronic migraines, scarring in my colon, unexplained bruising. I feel like I have the flu after about 15 to 20 minutes out in the sun. The rash I get, also heart palpitations, sore lungs and throat, blurry vision, upset stomach, often extreme chronic fatigue, and more. Okay, so there's a lot. So as I said, you have a mountain of things to address. Read that book and do your best to learn how to change the way you think. And then start to tackle your mountain of problems with your little teaspoon, like those movies that I was mentioning just before, like François Papillon and that guy from The Shawshank Redemption. And eventually you will find a way out of your problems. But you will only find a way out as long as you keep going. And also, you may not fix everything, but at least you can find a way to feel better. And that is worth something. Mr. EP2. Very nice, humble person. Okay, thank you. Strawberry black. Oh, I do recall being a young teenager getting yelled at by my stepdad because I stood up and got dizzy and lost vision and stumbled and knocked over a glass of milk. Okay. And gym activities outside in the sun made me very sick. But nobody ever seemed to notice that I was beet red and nauseous and dizzy. I was called lazy. I'm sorry to hear that. But yes, that explains some of your problems, indeed. I can see that. Person with a question, I love that mindset. I'm going to adopt that perspective too, about making friends with discomfort and viewing it in perspective as temporary. Yes, everything is temporary. It's the hardest thing to do because no one has taught us that. But really, pain is an experience that is part of our human experience. But here's the thing. The more we are trying to avoid pain, the more we think about it, the more we worry about it, the more we obsess over it, the more when we're going to face it, which will happen, the more unpleasant the experience, the more painful it will feel. There are ways to learn how to feel less pain when we are in pain. because pain is something that is created in your brain. You have some electrical signals from your senses to your brain, and then your brain is going to decide what to make of that, and then send back some information back into your nerves. And so it doesn't mean that we won't feel pain, but if you have a better relationship with pain, you will feel less pain physically and emotionally. An example that I can give you is if tattoos, for instance. I've got a lot of tattoos, and I used to be traumatized with pain. I used to hate pain, believe it or not. And so for me, every tattoo was torture. But I thought that it was my lot. I've got to do it. I want my tattoos, so I will go through the pain. And I also had problems going to the dentist. It's a long story, but I will tell you that some other day. But my brain is a bit slow today, so I don't want to adventure too far away from the core of the conversation. But I found a way to have a better relationship with pain, both with my tattoos and the dentist. And basically, now I could have anything done to me. And on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being atrociously painful, torture, and 1 being just a little bit, I used to be 11, like Spinal Tap. I used to be 11 with everything. But because I've learned how to accept the pain, visualize myself being on a beach, somewhere nice, instead of being on the torture chair, then eventually I would end up at maybe 1.5 or 2 on the scale of 1 to 10 by going through the same procedures. And so we can do this. Some of us, we can go to 0, right? The way that I do it is consciously. But if I was to self-hypnotize myself, which I can't be bothered because it's a long process, for me, 1.5 or 2 is enough. I can deal with that, it's not a big deal. But with self-hypnosis, it's possible to not feel things during some difficult procedures. So some people, before they have babies, for instance, they go through this process of self-hypnosis so they don't feel the pain. And we can also do this with people who go to the dentist or have a tattoo. A lot of us, we do that. We create some recordings for the clients so that we can do those things without any problem, because they would have told the nervous system to relax and to accept that pain is only temporary, and so it's not a big deal. We don't need to tense. Whenever we tense, we amplify everything, including pain. Cranberry black. Oh yes, and this symptom may be important. We go about 3 days unable to pronounce words or put sentences together. So stress does that. Even I, still every now and then, and it happened to me, I think, last week. When I'm overwhelmed, I may stutter or stammer. I used to stutter a lot when I was younger, and my brother as well. I think I had enough to potentially be labeled with Tourette. I had a lot of verbal and physical tics all the time, created by stress. And so when I'm tired, or overwhelmed, or stressed out in any way, sometimes it can translate into the way I speak as well. But again, everyone is different, and there's different level of intensity, of course. But it's just to highlight how stress amplifies any of our conditions. Pressure. And one of the things that creates the most pressure and stress in ourselves is self-hatred, as in shame. If we have some negative thoughts about ourselves, we are constantly triggering, putting the finger on our nervous system and making ourselves feel bad. We're doing it to ourselves. Cranberry black and chronic kidney pain on the right side. Sorry, I'm scrambling to prepare for the storm coming. Thank you for your patience. It's okay. Thank you for all the information. Cranberry black. And most of the therapists that I did go see when I had access to medical care tried to push it in a religious direction. Oh, it's terrible. I'm so sorry. This is very unprofessional. They should never be allowed to do their job if they're going to use it as a platform to promote their personal belief. This is terrible. So let me read it again from the beginning. And most of the therapists that I did go see when I had access to medical care tried to push it in a religious direction or dismissed me. And now I do not have access to healthcare, unfortunately. Okay, so if you had that sort of people, you're not losing anything. They are no good. Sadly, a lot of people do things for the wrong reasons, and that happens in any field of work, in any profession. And very often, any sort of job with a position of power would attract narcissists and psychopaths and people who are there because they can manipulate others, who are in a vulnerable position. And sadly, mental health profession is one of those. Many of my colleagues are there for the wrong reasons, and they are very, very harmful. And anyone who's going to use their religion as part of the toolkit to address whatever problem someone has, this is, for me, a huge red flag. They should never do their job. So you're not losing anything here, right? However, those are only some people. There are a lot of other people out there. And so it's for you to find a way to meet the right people for you at the right time that own the right toolkit that can help you with your situation. Forget about the fact that it didn't work in the past. Add yet. It hasn't worked yet. And so keep going, again, with that growth mindset until eventually you understand more of yourself, you understand more of how to make it happen, you understand more about who's around, what is available to you, and how you can make it happen in your life. Elizabeth, 73. What are your favorite books you recommend us to read beside your own book? There's a lot of them. It depends on what you are into. I read simultaneously a dozen books at the same time always. And so, I don't know. There's one that I recommended to my doctor yesterday, which is very good because it addresses things from a neurobiological perspective, and it's called The Biology of Trauma. It's a fantastic book. I'm going through it at the moment, and I love it because it's not only full of amazing, solid information, but it's also presented in a way that is easily understandable. Sometimes some books are difficult to read, and so no matter what wisdom they may hold is pointless. This book is beautifully written, so it flows, it goes back to things back and forth. It's really cleverly done, and it's got tons of solid science. And so it's called The Biology of Trauma: How the Body Holds Fear, Pain, and Overwhelm, and How to Heal It. From Amy Apigian. Check it out. That's my favorite book of the moment. One of them. Strawberry Black. Also, Chronic Thirst for as long as I can remember. Chronic Thirst, okay. And my mum would make fun of me for going straight to the kitchen when I woke up, saying I was eating when I was downing water. So yeah, I can see how everything about your past has developed in all of those things and more potentially. So if we were going to work together, I would use the tools of hypnosis to find out the core of your problems. Everything stems from something else. So the further we can go, the more we can address the very root cause of your limiting belief that are creating all of those reactions in your body. Person with a question. Thank you, Didi. Appreciate the candid reply on neurodivergence. Deeply resonated. Will contact my GP. Fantastic. Thank you. Strawberry Black. I've always had to suppress who I am, my political belief, my religious belief, my spiritual practices. I need to figure out how to find my people. So there you go. So you know it. There are people like you out there. There are people with the same political, religious, and spiritual belief. And they're there. You just need to find them so that you don't need to suppress them. A big part of physical and emotional imbalance is that we are not able to express ourselves. And that's why it is so important to find and hang out with people like you, so that you can express, you can be yourself, so that you can feel, so that you can say things, let it out, so that you can connect with people, but also you can let go, let out of the energy that wants to be expressed. You need to be seen. You need to feel that you belong. Yeah. Petra Daraban. Hi, love. Hello. Petra Daraban. I am an RTT practitioner too. Oh, fantastic. Hello, fellow RTT colleague. You are doing an excellent job. I am following for a while. All right. Thank you very much, Petra. We can talk about RTT. Or if you have any questions, if you want to compare notes with me, I'm more than happy to talk about it. Here. It's up to you. Good man, truth. Shall I give up weed and alcohol at the same time or do one at a time? It depends. It depends. We're all different. I would need to know you in order to give you the best advice. It depends. It's not about giving up the alcohol or the weed. It's about addressing the parts in you that need the alcohol and the weed. And so I used to be addicted myself to class A drugs and alcohol up to the age of 38. It was everything in my life up to that stage. And so I can really, really talk about it. And the problem with people like us who need alcohol or drugs is not the addiction. Addiction is there as a temporary solution to a deeper problem. And so the problem could be any type of overwhelm, depression, anxiety, trauma, shame, self-hatred, whatever it is. We have a problem and we need something to feel better about ourselves. And so we come up with anything that can distract us from who we are, from how we feel, from that body, from that pain. And this is where addiction is born. And so we want to address two things. And I always talk about it like that. When it comes to addiction, there's the fire and there's the smoke. The compulsion, the addiction is the smoke. The fire is the feeling, is the emotional wound, is the reason as to why we need that thing. So we want to address both. If you just stop weed and alcohol together or separately, if you just stop one, it's not going to make much difference because you're going to have the other one to help you feel or help you not feel. And so just stopping one won't make such difference, really. Stopping both at the same time can be good or not, depending on many factors. But you want to address the reasons as to why you needed those things in the first place. Because otherwise, if you just stop weed and alcohol, what you're going to do is to address the habit of action, as opposed to addressing the habit of thoughts and the habit of emotion. And so what it means is that if I lock you in a cell where you have no access to drugs or alcohol, after 6 months, you'll be all right, because you would have gone cold turkey and eventually your body would have, and your system would have adapted to not having all those things. However, once you are released back outside, straight away you will get back to it. Why? Because we only addressed the habits of actions, not the habits of emotions, feelings, and thoughts. That are the reasons as to why you need to take those actions. And so, yeah. Now, again, it depends, because some people may go through cold turkey and somehow, through that process, have some moments of self-awareness and realize some things that we need to realize in order to no longer fall back into those habits. It depends. I will need to know more about yourself in order to address this, if you want. Good man, truth. There's something else that I could add to that. So again, I talked about it at the beginning of the video. of the live stream. But for any problems, we need to address the subconscious aspect of it, but also lifestyle and environment. And so this is what we talked about just now. But when it comes to lifestyle, it's very important to have something that addresses your physical self. If you can replace drinking and weed by going for a walk, doing some light gym sessions or dancing or learning something physical, that would be a great strategy to add into your set of changes to help you heal. And environment also will be to do with the people around you. If you are living in a place or with people who are still triggering you, it's going to be very hard to stop taking weed and alcohol, because those people keep on reminding you that you must seek solace from them by indulging in addiction. So there are all of those elements to take into consideration. User VV9, new alignment as we are. Diana Maymal, I appreciate your humility. Thank you. Mia Note 66, hello. Thank you for your live. I have difficulty to find a therapist even though I need really support. There's so much different directions, CBT, mindfulness, EMDR, psychoanalyze. Would you have an advice? Yes. My advice is that it's your job to learn and find out what is around, and it's your job to find the right system for you and the right person. There's not one system that works for everyone. It doesn't exist. There's, however, at least one system that will work for you at this point in your journey. It's for you to find out what it is. And so my advice is for you to do what you've done already, learn about what is around, and see intuitively which system you think would be best for you. And then, next, talk to practitioners and feel which ones you connect with the most with. There's got to be some sort of emotional connection with people who are going to help you. Listen to intuition, and then eventually, bang, you will find the right person with the right system for you, right? Mia Note 66, I have physical symptoms too, so body-informed therapy is good too, I guess. Yeah, and also something that is very important, and I talk about it very often, and I will keep talking about it because it is important, is that nothing happens ever because of just one reason. Everything is always the result of many things occurring at the same time. And so if we can have a broader, bigger picture of ourselves and understand different aspects of us, now we have more possibilities to create the perfect recipe to address our problem. So we want to stop thinking in black and white. Is it this or that? Is it that system or that thing? Maybe it's this and that and that and that and that. Yeah. It's a very important concept to have. I think most people don't realize this because we are so conditioned to think in black and white. And because we, for the vast majority of us, we live under stress, anxiety, or depression in some capacity that get us to be in a state where we don't really have the luxury on a daily basis to think in any other terms than black or white. It's got to be quick, black or white, because we need to function in this rat race. And so, yeah. Thank you for the little heart. Mia Note 66. I'm living in France. Okay, bonjour. I can speak French if you want. I will speak English, but if you find it easier to converse in French, I will read your comment and I can translate in English straight after for everyone else. Kelsey 6071. Hello Didi. Thank you for the first post you mentioned in this live stream about the boundaries. I often have trouble stopping ruminating in a stressful way after having set a difficult boundary. Okay. So let me read again. I often have trouble stopping ruminating in a stressful way after, okay. So basically after you set a boundaries, you keep thinking about it. Okay. Well, that's because in that moment, remember what I said at the start of the live stream, in that moment, so there's a moment where you set the boundaries, and that moment was hijacked by the part of you that is empowered, that knows what is right, but what must be done. But the moment after, a different part of you hijacked that moment. And it is the part of you that is thinking, what have I done? I'm going to be hurt again. I'm going to be punished. They're going to turn their back at me. Now I'm going to be punished. Now I'm going to have to pay for it. Because in that moment, there's that part of you that is taking over. And so the solution to this is for you to find a way to get the other part of you, the one who set the boundaries in the first place, to come back and reclaim command of that moment. Just so you know, guys, whatever that I say in the live streams, you can always retrieve it afterward, because I leave all of my live streams available to be replayed on my YouTube channel. And so typically it takes a day, but whatever time YouTube needs to fully upload my live stream, come back if you enjoy what you're doing, so that I don't need to repeat myself. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, and the following day, come back, check out the live section, and that live today will be there. If not, maybe a bit later. And then what it means is that you can replay the video and retrieve whatever information that I'm sharing through the lives. Mia note. So this was for Kelsey 6071. Right? The answer to your question lies at the start of the live stream. Thank you for the heart. Mia note 66. I have difficulties to trust the method and the therapist, as I don't know if it can help me. I had a few experiences that weren't really helping. Okay, I get it. So I can give you an analogy. So let's say I have never experienced Moroccan cuisine, and I go to a restaurant and the chef is terrible. I'm gonna think, it's rubbish. But it doesn't mean that Moroccan food is terrible. I just need to find a different chef, a different restaurant, and then I may realize, it's actually very nice. And it's a very simple, oversimplistic analogy, but it's this. We get traumatized because of some experiences, but it was negative because of whatever parameters have created those moments. And so what it means is that your past doesn't define your future, right? If you had problems with some therapist, it doesn't mean that everyone is like that. It means that those people were like that. And it may also mean that maybe you were not aligned with that moment, and you're not ready for that as well. It takes a lot of things to make something happen. So it's a little bit of everything. It's never just them or you or whatever. It's everything. And so the best thing that I can recommend you is to forget about the past and focus on learning how to reconnect with your intuition. And listen to your intuition. Connect with people. Listen to your intuition and tell yourself, red flag or green flag? And then based on that, that will help you, that will give you some more assertiveness as to decide whether or not you want to pursue something with that therapist or not. Thank you for your heart, whoever that it is. Does it help? Me or not? Strawberry Black. Thank you for your advice and your opinion and recommendations. You are a very admirable person. Thank you for your work. Thank you for appreciating it. Of course, I'm here. I'm here every Wednesdays and every Fridays from 6 to 8 p.m. UK time. I'm doing my best. Today, I don't feel very good, but I'm feeling good now because I forgot about it. I was in my space just before, and that was quite overwhelming to me. But because I've been on that train of thoughts with you guys, now I'm starting to feel better. And so, thank you. What I was trying to say is that I do my best to come here no matter what happens. Unless I am on my deathbed and I can't breathe and I can't move, then I will always do my best to at least get started with the live stream, so that if some people were waiting for me, they can ask me some questions. And I will go for as long as my body and my mind allow me to do it. And so it's doing well today. Thank you, guys. Thank you for that. Kelsey 6071. Even when I know that it was right to do for me, I can get confused into feeling ashamed of guilty again. Okay, it's hard to shift my focus to myself and not go back into inner discussion with the person. It's because in that moment, it's the child in you that is back. The child that is panicking, going, what did you do? What have you done? you're going to put us into trouble again. And so it's about finding a way to, so what you can do is to reset your nervous system first and foremost. Breathe mindfully. I talked about it last time, 2 days ago. But you can do a lot of things that can soothe your nervous system and get you to go back into a place of clarity so that you can choose which part of you you're going to allow to take over in that moment. So breathing mindfully until you feel better is one of the ways to do this, but you can also bounce, you can dance, you can hum, you can sing, you can walk. Anything that is done with rhythm is going to soothe you because, pardon me, we are hardwired to recognize rhythm as safety. And this is why if you rock a baby, it stops crying. This is why if you live by the sea, you will be feeling at peace because you're listening to the sound of the waves that are following a rhythmic pattern. So do something you can touch yourself, as in hugging yourself. You can do EFT tapping, sort of things, whatever. There's a lot of things that you can do to basically address how you feel physically first and foremost. And then eventually, once you are back into a place of non-stress, state of mental clarity, then you can choose which part of you you want to allow to take over the next thought. Kelsey, I have made progress, but it can be very emotionally draining. Okay. Do you have any advice for me to become more calm in this? So I just did. Whenever you're overwhelmed, address first your nervous system. You can have a cold bath or a cold shower as well. There's tons of things you can do, but you want to address how you feel physically first, because until you do that, your whole physiology will be on a sympathetic mode. Survival, fight, flight. And so you want to find a way to get your whole body to go back into homeostasis, chill, parasympathetic state. And you do this by doing all the things that I just mentioned. Or you can also check the video that I've put out, the live stream that I did on Wednesday, because I talk about it quite a lot on that live stream. Thank you. Huyayup. I know this has nothing to do with anything, but I just cooked some of the best food in years. I'm so happy. I'm happy for you. Thank you for the very valuable information. Why not? I think it's very important to highlight the wins. And so if you did something that makes you happy, and I'm a foodie myself, so I really can appreciate the importance of food, then good on you. This is mental health too. When you eat things that makes you happy, and when you do things that make you happy. So cooking is perfect for that because you are doing something that you're going to eat. So you get both elements. Then you're getting your body to create all of those happy, feel good, and healing chemicals. Which is why it's so important to enjoy your food as well, if you can. As opposed to just following a strict diet because you have to, but you hate what you eat. Because even the element of being excited and enjoying your food makes a difference into your whole health and physiology. You create dopamine, or sort of things like that that are going to really, really contribute to your physical, mental, and emotional health by enjoying your food. Kevin just got back on the horse that threw me more yoga. Okay. Thank you for the heart. Person with a question. I need to step out early today from the live. Thank you, Didi, for all your wisdom, kindness, and insights. You are an amazing person and truly inspiring for me. Thank you so much. Wishing you a wonderful day and weekend. Thank you. Same to you. Kevin, a New Year's resolution. Lady White. Hi, Didi. Hello, Lady White. Is it something you'd like to talk about today? Mia Note 66. Thank you for your answers, Didi. Merci. Tout le plaisir est pour moi. The privilege and the honor is mine. I'm coming to the end of the thread for the first time. I'm going to have a sip of tea. But I'm happy to stay for another half an hour if you have any things you'd like to ask me. Martin Liz. Hi, thank you again for your wisdom. Do you talk about the connection of rhythm and safety in your streams from Wednesday? Yes. I talk about it briefly, just like I've done. So, yeah. I don't talk about it in any more specific ways, but I basically cover all sorts of different systems that we may use to soothe ourselves, to reset our nervous system. And I remember this because it's a question that someone asked me directly then. Who are you? Food itself is care. No, food is self-care, yes? It can be. It can be also a poison. As with everything, it depends. But within the context of our conversation, yes. An event, distraction can be used as a skill and an achievable goal, feel good from productivity, and a reward, the food itself, all at the same time. Yes, so basically we agree. Yeah. Kevin Lott, comment allez house? comment allez-vous? I think that's what you mean. How are you doing, right? You did some French at school, I assume. I'm very well, thank you. How about you, Kevin? Who are you? Also, I wasn't sure if I should write it in here, but hearing random good news from others makes me happy too. Okay, yes, no, absolutely. It's a place for any one of us to express ourselves, and so I think it's a great thing to also highlight the positive. We want to talk about the bad stuff because that's why I'm here for, to give some recommendations. But it's also important to talk about the good stuff. Yeah, it's all part of the conversation. And it's true that when we realize that some people are doing better, it brings hope. A lot of people don't ask me questions because they're listening in the background, and it's fair enough. Not all of us are ready to talk about their stuff on the social media, on the internet. But this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I believe that we can all learn from one another. And if we realize that we all suffer, we're all the same, and we're all doing our best, then just that in itself can really bring a lot of goodness in us, because it's reminding us that we're not alone. It's reminding us that everyone has their baggage. So it's teaching us how to be more empathic and compassionate as well. We judge others because this is what society teaches us, but if you can realize that whichever way people behave is because of X, Y, Z, it's got nothing to do with us directly, it's because they're dealing with their own stuff, then over time that can teach us how to take things with a pinch of salt and have a better relationship with ourselves and with others. Kelsey 6071. Thank you very much for the ideas. That makes a lot of sense about rhythm in action. The image of the panicking child afraid of punishment were very fitting. Okay. Yes, something that you can do. It's something that is borrowed from Qigong, and is to just bounce or sway, just move. Every morning as you wake up, the way that I suggest it is to put some music, some uplifting music that you enjoy, and then just move. And you can shake, you can sway, you can bounce, whatever it is, and then eventually you start to follow the music, and you start to dance. And if you can do this for even, it doesn't have to look good. You do it for yourself, right? So if you're a dancer, do your stuff, but you don't have to. I'm a terrible dancer myself. Just enjoy yourself and let go of that energy, release it. If you can do this, like, I don't know, 10 minutes every morning as you wake up, you're going to start on a good foot, because you're going to release some stress inside of you, and you're going to activate all sort of things as you do that. I was going to say yoga, but this is different. This is It's the opposite. You don't move. There's no rhythm to that. Kelsey, this fear can also come up when I do something I really want to do or ask for help, as though I don't deserve it. Yes, because there's a part of you that believes that you don't deserve it. The fear is there to remind you that indeed in the past, at some point in your past, you sought help, and then you suffered from the consequences of you seeking help. And so your mind is remembering it, your body is remembering it. It's making you feel, don't do this. It's preventing you to do this because it believes that whatever happened to you in the past is going to happen again if you do that same thing again. And so you want to do some work on yourself to find out why you have that response in your body. And then you can learn how to find a way to disarm that system that you put into place yourself back then. Kelsey, I try to be happy with small successes, allowing myself to feel the fear, but telling myself I do deserve it. Yes, so everyone is different, but you seem to be on that journey, so keep going, keep learning, keep growing, keep finding out more about yourself and how to feel better about yourself. Psalm 0091. How do I know if I'm a covert narcissist? It's a tricky one. Some narcissists have an awareness of them being narcissist, and some don't. It's a spectrum, like all conditions, so it depends. But there are more and more people on the spectrum of NPD who are starting to question themselves because there's more and more talk about it. Thanks to social media, more people are aware of that, and more people are starting to apply those information on themselves if they suspect themselves to have some of those traits. And so we all have some traits of narcissism. But as with any condition, what makes us having a label or not depends on whether or not it's affecting our life and in which capacity. So it depends on the intensity, the volume, the duration, the frequency of those things. But we all have some narcissistic tendencies. Everything that any condition has is normal. It's the dose that makes the poison. And so if you want to find out if you are a covert narcissist, check out first, read up on that and see some tests. And then if you believe that you may be, then go and see your GP or go to a private clinic and get yourself assessed for it. That'll be how you do this. But very often, a lot of us will wonder if we are like that and we're actually having something else. So I, for instance, for a long time, I didn't know if I was narcissist. And I realized that I have borderline personality disorder. So it's very, very, it's the same cluster B category of mental health condition. It's a personality disorder. And there are many, many symptoms of BPD and NPD that are overlapping and can be confusing. So there's that, maybe also to take into consideration. If you want to share with us, how do you believe that whatever you think makes you a narcissist or not, how is it affecting your life? If you can tell me that could be helpful. MTV Brat, Shake It Off, Taylor Swift. Yes, one of my clients did that. That was her favorite song, and she would shake it off and sing and dance every morning. And eventually she gets bored of the song because she'd done it such a long time. She had to come up with something else. But yes, Shake It Off is a perfect song to do this. Martin Lees, do you have some advice how to free yourself from the need for approval? Yes. So we have a need for approval because of some belief that we have about ourselves. So we want to understand how the belief system works. And so to any situation, there's an event, there's a justification, and there's a belief. And so the event may be, I get angry if someone insults me. The justification is the cognitive idea as to why we think we are experiencing that event. So if someone asks me, why do you get angry? I would say, because that person called me name. But the real reason I'm reacting is because of the belief. The belief is subconscious and emotional, is deeper within my subconscious mind. And it may be, I can't allow someone to disrespect me. Otherwise, I'm going to be, I will come across as weak and vulnerable. And I can't accept that. This is unacceptable. And so, as long as I'm not aware that it is that belief that is creating the event, as long as I think that it's the justification, I can never change. As long as I believe that I always get angry because stupid people call me name, it's because of them, justification. Then every time someone is going to call me names, I will get angry. But if I can realize that it's not just justification, it's the belief, I must stand for myself. I must show who's the alpha male. I cannot allow anyone to disrespect me. That's the underlying belief. If I can upgrade that belief, then I no longer need to react to that event. And so I can replace, I can't allow people to disrespect me with people are people. If people disrespect me, I don't need to get into a fight. I can ignore them. It's their problem. They're projecting their own insecurities over me. And so now I have upgraded my own belief. And the next time someone is going to call me names, I'm going to think, yeah, whatever. You know what? Seek some help, mate. You need it more than I. And just like that, you have fixed your problem. And so the way we can address this with you, you say, how do you free yourself from the need for approval? So the event could be, I need people to like me. Let me try to put it into that little frame. The event is, if I don't get external approval, I feel bad about myself. That's the reaction. That's the event. The justification is because I must present well in the world. I must be liked by others. But the belief behind it could be, if I don't seek external validation, I'm not safe. Because perhaps when you were a child, you had to get your parents to be proud of you, to get their attention and their love. And you never had it unless you did that. And so what it means is that you created the belief that if I don't get the external validation, I won't get the love, therefore my caregivers will not protect me. I'm not going to be safe. And that's the real underlying belief. So it's a bit convoluted. It was maybe not the best example, but I hope that it makes sense. So what we want to address is the belief. Right? So ask yourself, change this. If I don't get the external validation, does that mean that I'm not safe? Does that mean that I'm going to be rejected by the whole of society and end up on my own in the dark? No. It only means that I have some old habits from the past and I don't need this anymore. If I can remind myself, external validations are all superficial, they don't know me, it doesn't mean anything. People are all doing this because what we've been conditioned to do. But you don't need external validations. You need to connect with the right people. You need to connect with people. But you don't need to get validations from everyone, especially not from those people that you have to work so hard to get their approval from. I hope it makes sense. Let me read it again. Do you have some advice for freeing yourself from the need for approval? Yes. Change your belief that you have about yourself. Remind yourself that you don't need their approval to feel safe. You don't need their approval to feel good about yourself. I mean, it's complicated. It depends. If you have some sort of trauma, then that will not work just like that. And so you have to dig deeper and work with some people who may help you with that as well. But those are the big lines. What do you say, Martin? I can carry on if you want. Just ask me. Psalm 91. How do I let go of trauma in body? Through therapy. through somatic exercises, through lifestyle changes, environmental changes, and habits of thought and emotion changes. All of those things and more. So it's a big question, right? So if you can be more specific, we can find a way to address your problem in a more specific way. But how to let go of trauma in the body is like saying, how do I heal from illness? It depends. And so, but the idea is that you want to understand more about yourself. You want to understand about your nervous system and about your past, your emotional world, and how you see yourself in this world. This is where it starts. You want to realize that now you are safe. Whatever caused distress in the past, if it was to occur again, you can deal with that now. Those are the big lines. Now, of course, if you don't work on yourself, you wouldn't know where to get started, and your emotional mind will take over. You will just react to your environment. And so basically, work on self-awareness. Work on understanding how your mind functions and how you can get your mind to work with you and for you, as opposed to against you. Kelsey, thank you, Didi, thank you. MTV Brat, narcissism is a buzzword. Yes, but it doesn't mean that it's not real as well. A lot of things become trendy. And because of that, some people say, it's just a trend. You're just making excuse to get attention from people. But more than one truth can exist at the same time. And so it is true that it's a trend, but it's also true that many people suffer from it. So we want to be able to discern, to make the difference between both. But yes, narcissism, a lot of people talk about it. It's true. And sadly, it's like witch hunting, because most people don't understand it. It's all about judgment and scapegoating. It's like the villagers with a pitchfork. Let's get the narcissist and punish him or her. But although it's true that if we have someone narcissist in our life, we need to create a space between us and them, it is also true that they are the way they are because of their own suffering. They didn't choose their own trauma. They didn't choose their belief. They didn't choose to lack empathy. They didn't choose any of those things. They suffer from that. And so the more we understand mental health, the more we realize that we are all doing our best, whichever way we come across to others, and that no one is fundamentally bad. We're just dealing with life with any way we can to regulate our own nervous system. Even though for some it's going to be toxic. For instance, I used to suffer from a lot of rage and anger. And I created a lot of problems to many people in my life, and I'm very sad about this, but it happened. But I had to learn how to forgive myself because I never chose to be like that. It's the only way I knew how to deal with things back then. So that was my only reality, my only choice, my only option. And so, yeah, if someone hurts you, you must protect yourself first. But if you're able to heal your own wounds, then you may be able to look at them from a different angle and realize that they suffer too. So that you don't believe that there's the good guys versus the bad guys. Instead, in that moment, if you can get there, you realize that we are all the same and we're all dealing with our own stuff. And one of the best ways to heal is to find compassion and empathy. Compassion for self and empathy and compassion for others. So that we can reconnect to a oneness as opposed to thinking us versus them, me against them. I hope it makes sense. Healing, one of the definitions of healing is that it's about I forgot, my brain is heavy today, but it's the idea of connection, of togetherness, as opposed to the idea of separation, the illusion of division. Kelsey, also thank you MTV Brat, that's a good song for that, true. MTV Brat, probably though he's looking at you, kid. How is it improving yours? I don't understand, MTV Brat. Inner Peace Project. Hello. Leonard Garcia, what are your thoughts on alcoholism and how more people can break away from it? So we can talk about it briefly. Addiction is one of my strong specialism. I used to be addicted to alcohol and drugs for many, many, many years, like very, very badly. And so anyone who has sort of addiction to a debilitating level in their life, it's not because they're weak. It's not because they're evil. It's not because they're bad. It's not because there's nothing wrong about them as far as their personality is concerned. It is because they suffer. It's because they're overwhelmed. They don't know any other way to feel better about themselves. And so my thought on alcoholism is that if we know someone who suffers from alcoholism, we must not judge them and we must try to understand them, to help them out if we can, if we want to help them. And if we suffer from alcoholism, it's a whole different conversation, but we want to find out, why do you need alcohol to feel better about yourself? What are you trying to escape? What are you trying not to feel? Is it fear? Is it shame? Is it anxiety and overwhelm? Whatever that it is, there's something that we're trying to switch off. Typically, people who are neurodivergent in any which way, so CPTSD or ADHD, have a propensity for addictions. Because if we've been through a lot of hurt in our past, and we believe that's to do with us, as who we are, because society, our parents, our teachers told us so. Now we're going to be in a constant state of discomfort. And the moment we're going to experience alcohol or drugs, in that moment, it's not going to be the same experience as anyone else who don't have that hurt. And so if someone is happy, they may explore drugs, alcohol, and they may like it or not, but they're not going to be hooked to it. If we get hooked to it, it's because we have a propensity to need it. It's because in that moment, for the first time in our life, we're experiencing heaven. It's literally like spending life in hell, and suddenly, for one brief moment, we're invited in a party in heaven. And so it's really, really special for us. And after that moment, we go back to hell. And so we need to go back to do our best to attend that party in heaven again. And that's how we get addicted to drugs and alcohol. It's not because of the drugs or the alcohol. It's not because we are weak. It is because we have a need, a propensity to need something to find solace from existence itself. I spent 38 years of my life, maybe not 38 because I didn't start when I was a baby, but up to the age of 38, I was in a constant state of either being high, being drunk, or being hungover. It never stopped. I didn't know any other state until the age of 38. Either drunk, high, or hungover. Because I would do anything in my power to avoid reality. Because reality is where suffering lies. And so, yeah, it's a big topic. We can talk about it in great length. If you want to give me some context, perhaps. But the way people can break away from it is to understand the bigger picture. Do they have unhealed trauma? Are they neurodivergent? This is where I would start. And also, what sort of belief they have, what sort of environment they live in, what sort of lifestyle, all of those things and more. It's never just this or that. Aren444, hello Didi. Oh, hello Aren. Thank you for your support. I appreciate your comments on my short videos. MTV Brat, why would you? It's cheap and makes you feel better. I'm not sure what you're talking about. You're talking about drugs and alcohol? Just so you know, please don't troll. I don't know if you are. If you are cracking a joke innocently, it's not a problem. But I'm creating a safe space here for people to talk about the problem. So please be kind. If I see that anyone is trying to troll in a way that is unpleasant, I would have to block you, I'm afraid. But maybe I didn't get it. I don't understand. Psalm, I ruin all my friendships and relationships at work and everywhere around me, but I have a self-righteous anger problem. Okay. I can tell because your name is called Psalm. So it's a reference to some religious books, isn't it? And so you have an awareness of that. Self-righteousness, anger problem. Self-righteousness is born from a need to control things. And this is typically something that a lot of people who experience any sort of religious trauma would go through. So basically, if we've been conditioned to believe that if I don't behave, we are all born sinners, so we are born rotten to start with. And if I don't behave in any ways, I'm going to end up in hell. So now we're going to be obsessed with that. So I'm not saying that it's you, but it's just to explain religious trauma. And some people have religious OCD, so they can't help. They're obsessed with sins, with doing the wrong things, with hell, with shame, with blaming, and in that case, with self-righteousness. Because the idea of self-righteousness is that on one side, there's the righteous, on the other side, there are the sinners. We need to know, to have a clear demarcation so that we know where do I need to go, what do I need to do to stay within the righteous. Because otherwise I'm going to end up in hell, and this is not acceptable. And so self-righteousness is the need to control things and to always make sure that everything goes in a certain way and we follow the commandments, the books, the dogma or whatever. Otherwise, we're in trouble. And I don't know if that's what you mean, but that can create a lot of problems with relationships indeed. So I don't know if it was, I'm just using whatever I see. I see psalm and I see self-righteousness. And self-righteousness is a projection of our own shame and fear and insecurities. And fear, yes, that already. Do you believe that you have any conditions that you may suffer from? Do you feel the pressure? Do you believe that your environment has pressurized you a lot from when you were a child, and even now, perhaps? Self-righteous anger problem. Anger is an energy that we have if we believe that it's our only system to deal with things. So that was my problem for a long time. Rage. And self-righteous is the need to have the illusion of control. I need to understand things. So things need to be black and white. It's either right or wrong, true or false, good or bad, righteous or, I don't know the adjective. Sinners is something to do with sins, as opposed to righteous. Cozy. Does smoking help with my anxiety? Yes, if you smoke weed, it will make you feel better in the moment. But it will only make it worse over the long term, because it doesn't fix the core of the problem. Yeah. A lot of people smoke weed, and I understand we have to do what we have to do if we suffer. Or alcohol, because it makes us feel better in that moment. A lot of people use it with anxiety, indeed. But weed, when we are doing it regularly, gets people to develop paranoia. So paradoxically, it makes things worse over time, since anxiety and paranoia are in the same side of things. It's about fear. It's about not feeling safe. MTV Brat. But alcoholism also makes one fat, so there's a motivator. I don't believe that people who are addicted to alcohol worry so much about their appearance. There could be some. Every now and then we may think, oh, he's doing this. But generally speaking, if you really suffer from something, this is just something, an afterthought. Pumpkin Puff. Hello, Didi. How are you doing today? I'm getting better. I was very, very distraught and and unbalanced at the start of the live stream. But eventually things got better as I got into this conversation with you guys. But I was in a not so great physical and mental space. It happens. Thank you for asking. How about you? MTV Brat. Yes, Cozy, look up Jim Carrey, The Cringe, and Smoking. I don't know what to do with that. Psalm, I definitely deal with childhood trauma. Okay. Irene 444. The behavior has nothing to do with my energy. Okay. Yokozi MTV, thank you. From Martin Lee's Psalm. Now, after my last breakup, where I was vulnerable, I distrust everybody. Okay. So we develop habits of behavior based on traumatic events. But you can always choose that, change that. But I believe that this is only one thing on the top of many other things. So I'm not going to delve into that too much. I believe that it's only a continuation and an expansion of other problems that you have already that are more pressing. You talk about self-righteousness. You talk about anger. I will address that. The vulnerability. Are you a guy or a girl? Because there's also an element of toxic masculinity. Because of a patriarchal society, we are conditioned to believe something about ourselves and how we should behave in society. And that can create a lot of problems. And I'm seeing this because I'm picking up on the word vulnerability. We can talk about it from that angle if you want. Could you tell me if you identify yourself as a man or a woman or non-binary? Kevin, Didier, I appreciate your vids. Thank you so much, Kevin. MTV Brat, my dentist died and now I feel safe. I'm not sure. You're starting to sound very dodgy to me, MTV Brat. Let's see how it goes. But I hope that you're not going to go to become unpleasant. Psalm, heart emoji, and this. Thank you. Martin Nielsen, if you grew up in a dysfunctional family, how do you create a healthy relationship to love without a framework for what healthy love is? Can you reprogram those patterns on a nervous system level? Yes. So it depends. We're all different. So we need to know you more to find out what it is that we must address precisely. But it's absolutely possible to learn something new, right? All that you need to do is to approach it like a new skill. You are starting from scratch. You are learning a new instrument, a new language, a new skill, whatever it is. Start from the beginning and teach your brain through choices and repetition how you want to reprogram it, even when it comes to relationship. But maybe if you have been suffering from a dysfunctional family, you may have some patterns that are quite problematic in regards to relationships. And so maybe if you could share with us what are the main problems, what are the main blocks, what are the main patterns in your relationships that are problematic, that are to do with your first family. If you can tell us that, that would be helpful. Martin, since I thought I had to die because I got a bad diagnosis, I've had a constant feeling that I am wasting my time no matter what I do. It's really weird. Okay, so we can talk about this directly. You are never wasting your time. We feel that we're wasting our time because there's a voice in our head that is telling us that you're wasting your time, you're running out of time, FOMO, and also you're useless, you're bad, you are unworthy. So whatever that we think are going to create a reality for us. And I want you to realize that those voices in your head, they're not your voice. They're the voices of all those people in the past who spoke to you like that. They may be your parents, they may be your teachers, they may be your bullies, they may be anyone at all who made an impact on you. And now their voices have stuck into the back of your mind and are constantly echoing, reverberating back and forth. And you believe that it's your voice, but it's not. And basically, they've been unkind to you. And because of that, you're being unkind to yourself, because this is how your brain grew then and absorbed that habit. And so you want to first learn how to dissociate yourself from your thoughts. I am not my thought. I am the person behind it. I am the observer. I am the thinker. I am the person that is thinking the thought. And so when you think, I'm wasting my time, this is pointless, I'm not worthy of anything, success and happiness are not available to me, I'm never going to get anywhere because I'm a loser. Realize that that voice is not the truth, it's not fact, it's not even your opinion, it's just something from the past. So you can question that thought. Is it true? Is it based on fact? Is it true? And then you may realize that it's not true. And so the thought will be, I'm wasting my time no matter what happens. Is it true that I can never get out of there? Well, life is ongoing. And as long as we keep going, we learn more and we grow more, and everything is always possible. And so from that angle, it's not true. And then the next thing that you may do is to remind yourself that your life is about you experiencing yourself. And so everything about your life, including the discomfort, the distress, the pain, whatever you're going through, it's part of your experience. And so you're never wasting your time. If you stay too long in that state, it sucks. But at some point, you will learn how to get out of that place, because this is the process of life. We go through hardship to understand how to turn this hardship into something that becomes easier, so that we can move up to the next thing. It's like a video game. We learn how to develop more systems, coping mechanisms, better perspective to look at things, so that we can navigate through life better. And so you're never wasting your time. Your life is made of time. Until your last breath, you have plenty of time. That's all that we have. Time. Yeah. And you use your time to discover, to find out about yourself. At some point, as long as you keep going, at some point things will get better. And the more you get better, the more you expand your perspective of yourself, the more you expand your collection of, your arsenal of tools to deal with life, the more you will realize with hindsight that all the bad things in your past were lessons. And that's when you realize, I've never wasted my time. All of those situations, all of those heartbreaks, all of those suffering, they existed to teach me something. And now that I have learned, I can see that I never wasted my time. I hope it helps, Martin. Had Stoner the Pimp. I've been single for nearly 5 years. Why am I still struggling to move on even now? Well, first, your name maybe is an indicator of some of your projections. I'm not sure. I'm just joking. Let's be more serious, because it says the pimp. Why am I still struggling to move on even now? Because you're overwhelmed with life, and because you're overwhelmed in many different ways. That event was harder for you to deal with, and you have created more systems to protect yourself against life. And so if you've been heartbroken by someone, if you've been mistreated, if you've been deceived by someone that you trusted and that you loved, because you've been overwhelmed with other things, now your mind is going to remind you, now we're going to add an element to your defense system. Never be with someone, because otherwise you're going to be hurt again. And so there's a bigger picture than just relationship. It's about addressing your sense of self. It's about addressing your own limiting belief. How do you see yourself in life? What do you believe is available to you as far as love is concerned? All those things are important to explore. Because I don't know you, I can't really say much yet. But if you still struggle to move on, it's because you're overwhelmed with a lot of things, and you need to find out what is the first layer of problems that you need to address. It's never because of just one relationship, because we have a relationship with everyone all the time. Where we live in a world of people. It's called society. And so it's not the people, it's how we respond to them based on how we see ourselves. Yeah. MTV Brat. It is because life is mundane and ugly, particularly in the metropolis. Okay, so this is a serious answer, a comment. I agree with you. Big cities can be very hard on many of us. Society is very unkind to most of us as well. Irene 444 message retracted. MTV Brat. And people who will suffer these lies will perpetuate this ugliness. Okay, I see where you come from. Masquerading as if this is normal. Yes, I agree. Society is actually designed to exploit the majority of us. It doesn't care about most people. Because the people who are at the top, I believe that the vast majority of them are on the spectrum of narcissism and psychopathy. So they don't have empathy, they don't care. They see people like cattle. Irene Didi, I am a recovering alcoholic. Okay, recovering, good on you. We can talk about it if you want. Kevin, AA and NA really help. They can help some people, yes indeed. Sometimes. April Taylor McClure said hi. Hello, MTV Brat. I'm not trolling, I'm a legitimate intellectual theologian. You don't have to be an intellectual theologian to talk to me. Anyone can. But if you say so, I'm going to take you on your words. I'm going to take your words for it. That's the expression. MTV Brad, obviously you believe more in this modern hallucination, and you say sinner, believe in karma, and enjoy this one and only life, insignificant bug. Are you talking to me or someone else? If it's confusing, I don't understand. MTV Brad. Scarlett, what to do when friends and family are pressurizing me to have a goal in life? Tell them to F off. What do they mean? It's like they're always unhappy or trying to push me somewhere. Okay, so I take back what I said. It was just a bad joke. But it's true. It's not their business. What they're doing, they don't realize it, but they are projecting their own insecurities on you. You must do this. You should be doing that. Because they believe that if you don't do that, they're going to suffer. You're going to suffer. Because they believe that they would suffer if they didn't have it. Or maybe they never had a chance to do that. So they are projecting their own dreams over you. But what they have forgotten is that your life is your life. Your life is for you to explore, it's for you to discover, it's for you to learn what is good, what is bad, what you prefer, what you don't like. It's your journey, it's not theirs. And so if you need to have a goal in life, you will find it in your own time. Maybe at this point in time, you don't need to find a goal. Maybe at this point in time, you need to make sense of this. That in itself is a big job. And so what you would like to tell them is, love me or leave me, accept me. This is who I am. I don't need a goal. Tell them, do you believe that if I don't have a goal, can you love me? Or do I need to have a goal for you to accept me and to support me and to see me and to love me? Maybe if I will shake them a little bit and make them realize that they can be kinder to you. But we all project, and very often with families it's like that. We believe that there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way. And they come from a good place, probably. Not always, but probably. And so it's about telling them, I appreciate that you're trying to help me. However, this is my life, this is my journey. So please, respect me. And if they don't, you have to set boundaries. So tell them, if you keep doing this, I'm going to do that. And then apply the boundaries so that they can learn that it's important for you to protect your peace. Does it help, Scarlett? If you say that they're always unhappy and always trying to push you somewhere, it reflects on them, not on you. They have a bug, they have a chip over their shoulder. It's got nothing to do with you. So tell them, I'm sorry that you always feel annoyed by that, but are you happy in your life? Is there something that you should be doing? Is there a goal that you should be doing instead of trying to get me to find my goal? Something like that. Show them a mirror. Tammy St. George. How do I let go of anger against my dad, who has verbally abused me almost every day for over 40 years? You need to accept that he will never change. First, you need to create a space between you and him so that you can focus on yourself. And you may not be able to let go of the anger just yet. The anger exists to protect you. And so if you feel unsafe, the anger will stay in you. Anger is a protection mechanism. Keep away, otherwise I'm going to bite you. Something like that. And so we have anger because deep inside of us, we don't feel safe. So if you still feel unsafe in regards to your dad, if you still live with him, if you still see him a lot, or if your life is overwhelming, you suffer from anxiety, it's going to be hard for you to not let go of the anger because your whole system believes that you need it to survive. So the first step about this is to address your peace. Find a way to create a space, an environment, a lifestyle that supports you, that doesn't trigger you, where you feel safe. If you have any trauma that are unhealed, address them. Seek professional help if you can. If you still see him, avoid seeing him, or set boundaries, practice. Use those relationships to fix the problem by setting boundaries. Tell your dad, if you keep talking to me like that, I won't speak to you for a week. And then because he will speak to you like that again, set the boundary. Tell you know what, I've warned you. And then both, bang. Both. Heavy brain today. Then set the boundary and stop talking to him for 1 week so that he realizes, gosh, she meant business. And then do it again and again. And it may not change anything, but at least you know that you have the power to stop allowing him in your space. If you want to tell me more about yourself, we can explore it in more depth. What do you think about what I said so far, Tammy? Strawberry Black. Hi, Pumpkin. I don't know how to tag. Pumpkin Puff. I've been good today. I had a rough day yesterday. Mentally, physically, also wasn't in a good place. But my husband and I watched your video, The Myth of Stupidity, together, which was very informative. Thank you very much for watching my stuff. And for those who don't know, I publish long-form content every week on YouTube. And so the one that Pumpkin Puff is referring to, let me have a look. It's called The Myth of Stupidity. Where is it? Yes, The Myth of Stupidity. And on the thumbnail it says we're all stupid, and it's okay. Check it out. It's I work a lot on those little videos, and I'm doing my best to bring something on the table. So I believe that some of you may find this interesting. I'm talking about intelligence and stupidity. The myth of stupidity. We all have our form of intelligence that can be useful in society. And so if we can realize this, we realize that no one is stupid. Stupid is just a judgment that is born again from a tradition of being cruel to one another unnecessarily. Thank you for appreciating that video, Pumpkin Puff. Pumpkin Puff, I'm sorry to hear you weren't feeling your best, but I hope you feel better this evening or over the weekend. I'm feeling better now already. I genuinely am. If you watch the video from the beginning, I was like, and I literally told my husband, I don't know if I'm going to stay more than 5 minutes because there's a lot of things happening at the moment in me. But as it goes, I've been supported by you. We've had conversation, and now I'm in a good place. And I like to believe that after the live, I'll be also good. Gosh, I realize it's already 8:15. You know what? I'm going to resume. Because I normally stop at 8 o'clock. You see, I'm such in a good place that I forgot about the time. Let me read the last comment. Deborah, our body contains an endocannabinoid system, which are neurotransmitters that bind to cannabinoid receptors under expressed through the central nervous system. This does not activate until we take can. So I believe that there's more to come. Maga playlist. Hi Didi, so glad to see you. Thank you. Kevin, Tylenol, the same mechanism of action. Strawberry Black. Scarlett, how do you deal with shame when it's been the baseline emotion my whole life? I've been pressured since birth to give my power away to people who never had a good intention in the first place. I did a video on that, about shame, 2 months ago. Check out my channel. It's called Shame Will Ruin You. And on the cover, it's written Toxic Shame. And also, if you want, because I need to rush a little bit now, I'm a bit late, I can talk about it on my next live if you come next week. I come live on YouTube every Wednesdays and every Fridays to the best of my ability from 6 to 8 p.m. UK time. And so if you can subscribe to my channel and remember to come back on my next live stream, do ask me and I would love to talk to you about this. Shame is a very important conversation. We all suffer from that in some capacity, and I would love to help you out with that. If you could come back, please. MTV Brett, I'm familiar with that picture in your background. It's famous in Melbourne, and I'm familiar with it. Are they? It's my parents. Are they famous in Melbourne? I didn't know. I had no idea. I'm happy they are. The blank ghost. My sister stole my dad's phone when he passed away, and there was nothing I could do about it. I'm so mad at her and my dad for letting it happen. Stole his home, not phone, and his money. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. If you want to come back next time, I would love to talk about it in greater depth, but I'm going to rush it up. So please, next time, if you don't mind, please. Pumpkin Puff, it's a bit past 8, so I hope you have a better evening, and I hope that you have a good weekend. My husband and I will be watching your videos over the weekend. Thank you. The last one I put out is about procrastination. So I don't know if you've seen that one yet. I think you have already, haven't you? Scarlett, thank you. I appreciate you. You came in the right moment in my life. Fantastic, fantastic. Do follow me and come back, and I would love, I do this for all of you guys. I'm happy to use my free time to give advice as much as I can, based on what I can do for you. MTV Brad, I respect the life of an ant. If only certified practitioners would do the same here. Okay, I appreciate that sentence. I think that all sentient beings matter, indeed. Roniko said hi, domestic systems needs for safety. Pumpkin Puff, I'm very happy to hear that we could all help you feel a little bit better. That's great to hear. You've helped a lot of us so much, it's only fair we can help you a bit in return. Yes, I have watched it already. You get me to do some things I needed to do. Okay. Dominic, to what extent can someone be held accountable for the nervous system defense against abandonment? Tara from her father. I will talk about it on my next live stream, if you don't mind. I've got to go. I'm already 18 minutes late. I don't have anything to do, but I'm getting tired now, so I'm going to resume that. I would love to have a chat with you. Please, you matter to me, but if you could follow, support my page, and then come back next week, again, Wednesday or Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. UK time, that'd be amazing. Yeah. And if you could remind me of that conversation then also. Trauma, not Tara. Okay, that makes more sense. Sure, no problem. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Dominic, of course. Okay. Guys, I'm going to go now. Just to remind you, I'm on TikTok and on YouTube, and I post long-form content every week on YouTube, so do check them out. I come live twice a week, every week, and I leave all of my live streams like today on my channel to be found. So if there's anything that you find interesting today, by tomorrow, more or less, when YouTube has fully uploaded that live stream, you will be able to replay that video and retrieve whatever information you may deem interesting or useful. Okay. Martin, thanks. Kevin, thanks. Thank you, guys. I love you all. Look after yourself. I wish you a great day or a great night wherever you are. And remember to be kind to others if you can. But if you can't, at least be kind to yourself. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye.